You are listening to Co-Create Your Life. In this podcast, we delve deep into the law of attraction, dispel common misconceptions, and give our listeners the tools they need to build a magical, purposeful existence in their everyday lives. Reclaim the creative power you already possess and join us at co-creationcoaching.org/create. That's co-creationcoaching.org/create.
Welcome to Co-Create Your Life. This is episode 22, Why You Need to Invest in Your Goals. I am Brandon Oliveris.
And I'm Christine Oliveris.
And I'm Justin Williams.
So today our topic is about investing in your goals. This has been something I've been meaning to write about or talk about for a few weeks. So I'm excited to be able to discuss that today. Basically, the idea is that your goals come a lot more quickly. The momentum is a lot higher when you're actually pouring energy into them. I know that sounds obvious, but there's a reason I'm saying this.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so before all that, I have some announcements, as always.
The usual announcements, I bet we could say backwards.
I don't want to say it backwards. That gets confusing. A
joke.
I know. If you would like to see the show notes, you can go to co-creationcoaching.org/create022. And if you would like to ask a question that will be answered somewhere, somehow, someplace, you can...
Somewhere out there.
Somewhere out,
Sorry,
over
that's
the
a
rainbow. You can go to co-creationcoaching.org/ask.
Straightforward.
End announcements. All right. So, again, today's topic is why you need to invest in your goals. Because when you don't invest energy in them, they don't really come that quickly. Before we get started, I want to read a quote that is pertinent to this. This is the quote I posted on Thursday. I've been posting a quote every week for the last 2 weeks anyway. My goal is to post a quote every week, once a week.
Pointers to truth.
Pointers to truth. Something that is inspiring, something that has to do with the law of attraction.
That Brandon didn't say.
Yes, and something that someone else said. And that generally I'm going to try to tie it into the podcast. So that it can, kind of give some guidance, some direction for the podcast. So the quote for today is from Michael Phelps, actually, which I found really interesting. When I found this quote, I know, when I found this quote, it was like, oh, that's perfect. Because I was going through all these quotes. What do I want to post next week? And I found this quote. I'm like, that is it. That's perfect. So the quote is, I think goals should never be easy. They should force you to work, even if they are uncomfortable at the time. So that really, really ties into today's topic, like I said, because, the common idea out there, I guess, is that, your goals should be easy. They should be effortless. They should be, you should have to put in any work whatsoever. But as I've always said, they do require work. They require working through your resistance. They require holding that structural tension. And so they really are, they're not easy, and they do require work. So, and that really ties into investing yourself in your goals. Because, again, one of the ideas out there is basically that you can just feel good in general. Like, if you just ask for your goal and you just focus on it for a short time, and then you feel good in general and you don't ask for it again, it'll just come.
That is the laziest approach.
I know, it really is.
That doesn't really work a good bit of the time.
I've never had it work. I think only if it's a current level goal could it actually work, but I've never had it work for something I really, really wanted that was a big next level goal.
For me, you always have to put energy into it. Like, you can't just ask for it and then feel good. You have to ask for it and put energy into it. Now, you might not do anything else physical, but you had to put some of your soul stuff into it. That's
exactly
some of your stuff, yourself.
Right.
into it, even, to make it work. Now, I mean, maybe for a goal that's on your same level, a current level goal, you might, but even for those, to really make sure that they work out.
Yeah.
I had several goals that I went over a few nights ago that worked out, but I had to put like myself in there. I mean, I had
Right.
to, even if you do it for a few seconds, you have to give up something, and then many
Right.
times you have to do something else to get it to work.
Right. Yeah, I've told this story before, but not for a long time, so a lot of people might not know this story. But when I first got into the law of attraction in 2015, one of my first goals was that I wanted to manifest a way for Christine and I to be able to go to our favorite, it's this hotel and casino we really like to visit for our anniversary and stay a few nights at. And I really wanted to do that. And so I did, I was into Abraham Hicks at the time. And so I did exactly this, with just asking, feeling good about it. Their thing is focus on it for 68 seconds. I literally did that. I felt really good about it for 68 seconds. And then I dropped it, and then I just tried to feel good about things in general. And so, this was, I gave it some time. I gave it like a month or so, or at least a few weeks to manifest. And so I waited, and I felt good, and I wasn't worrying about it, and, time went on. And I just didn't see any progress whatsoever. Which, whatever, okay, maybe it's taking time. But, then I started thinking, wait, nothing's happening. Well, okay, I'll focus on it a little bit more and let it go and just feel good again. I'm sure it will come. And so I did that, and, our anniversary passed. Like, well, okay, maybe we'll do it. My birthday's just like a little over a month after our anniversary. Maybe I'll do it for my birthday. So time goes on and on and on. And nothing ever happens. Nothing ever manifests. Not even any signs. Nothing happens. Period. Like, well, that's stupid. Why did that happen? Why did it, they say if you focus on it for 68 seconds and you drop it and you feel good, you'll get it, right? That's enough work. That's enough focus for it to manifest in your physical reality. So the next year, I had learned a lot more about the law of attraction.
You also we had a tough year.
We did have a very tough year, but I mean, it should have been able to manifest though. But
no, but I meant because of the September incidents.
Oh yeah, with the money and stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this was around the same time.
Yeah, I know.
But the next year, I knew a lot more about the law of attraction. I had a lot more personal experience with it. I knew it wasn't just about feeling good in general. And so I did the exact opposite. I focused on it, maybe not every day, but most days. I focused on it a lot. I'd focus on it for like 5 minutes and, let it go. But I'd focus on it regularly. Okay? So I kept doing that, and within, I think, a week or two, it was one of Christine's relatives, out of the blue, we didn't ask, said, we want to pay for you to go somewhere over your anniversary. And, they had another idea in mind at first, and we're like, well, this is where we'd like to go. So they paid for it, and we went, and it was really enjoyable. We didn't ask, we didn't do anything physically besides me just focusing on it in that way, investing my energy in that goal, and it happened. So I like to tell that story because it really illustrates why it's not good enough to just feel good in general and, just go off and, watch like happy videos about puppies or whatever, like kittens, cat videos. It's not good enough. I mean, I used to frequent, I haven't forever. I used to frequent the Abraham forums, and there was one specific person on there who would always say, you could literally just go and watch cat videos all day and you would get all of your goals.
Oh, God.
And people believed this person, and I did too at the time because I was really into it. But, the fact of it is it didn't work. And I believe that this should be, I think it's both an art and a science, but this should be predictable. It should work under predictable circumstances.
Or at least you should be able to sort of anticipate how yours are going to go.
But universally speaking, there should be principles in place that, if you do this, this will happen. If you do that, that will happen.
Yep.
So it didn't work. And that's, scientifically speaking, if it didn't work, then something's wrong with the theory.
That's right.
So the way I did it did work. And I have adjusted that theory a lot since then. I mean, that's science too, is constantly updating the theory to match the current data.
I like the fact that you said it's an art and a science.
It's an art and a science.
Because I know this week, I said earlier, I'm going to get my resume done this week.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. And I had an appointment next Monday to get it done. I said, I need my resume done this week. How about somebody call me or emailed me 2 days later on Wednesday and said, it was Tuesday, and said the same day and said, hey, let's talk tomorrow. And she went and fixed up the rest of my resume.
Wow, that was great.
But see, when I did that, people say, well, is that current level? I don't know, but I put a lot of, when I said it was going to work, I put a lot of force behind that.
Sure.
I sat there and it took, 15, 20 seconds, but I generated a lot of force because that's what I do, right?
Right.
So when I do something, I just, and it worked. I mean, man, did it ever.
So the first way that we've kind of already alluded to, I guess, that you can invest in your goal is simply energetically. Focusing on your goal, it needs to be a regular thing. Mm-hmm. And this is one of the first things that I learned when I really started to learn how all this worked and fit together, is that you can't just ask for the goal and then drop it and then go away and wait for it to come. Not if it's a next level goal. If it's a current level goal, then yes. But if it's a next level goal, that's not enough, because what's going to happen, here's what it's basically like. If, I don't know why this analogy popped in my head, but if you're throwing a ball and...
Man.
Yeah, I was laughing.
Wow, all right.
I'm sorry, that's what popped in my head. If you have a better one.
No, I don't. It's definitely not as unique. Go ahead.
You're throwing a ball, and, let's say you're trying to get it into, I don't know, a goal or something. Okay.
Into the basket.
Into a basket.
Basketball.
All right. You're trying to get into a basket. Yeah. But, so you throw it, and you're like, okay, if it's current level goal, great. It goes, it flies, it goes through the basket. Woo! But let's say there's a hypothetical brick wall in the way. And so you think, well, I should just be able to throw it and it'll go where I want it to go. So you throw it and then you walk away and, you're like, why didn't it go where I want it to go? Well, because there's a wall there. So if you throw it and it hits the wall, it's not going to go where you want it to go.
Unless you throw it over the wall.
It's a really tall wall.
Oh, okay.
It's like 100 feet tall.
Okay.
And you can't throw 100 feet high.
Okay.
Okay. So, so if you throw the ball and it hits the wall, I really want to rhyme again.
If you throw the ball at the wall that is tall.
Mm-hmm.
If you throw the ball at the wall.
Which is tall. I'm sorry.
And I'm really trying to hold it together, and you walk away and it didn't get to your goal, it's because there is an obstacle. You can't expect it to work the same way when there's an obstacle in the way than when there's not. So, when it's a current level goal, it's like you throwing the ball and the basket's right there. It just goes through. But if there's an obstacle in the way, if there's a wall in the way, it's just going to bounce off. You have to go through and deconstruct that wall first.
Here comes the axe.
Yeah. And that's what you have to do. So you can't just focus on it once, because you have that metaphorical wall there that's blocking the goal. You have to focus on it over and over and over again and deal with the resistance that comes up. It's like, oh, you throw it. Oh, there's still a wall. Let me remove some bricks of the wall. Oh, I throw it, there's still a wall. Let me remove some more bricks. Oh, I throw it, there's still a wall. And eventually there's no longer a wall, and you throw it and it goes through. So...
And what's going through my head is, why the heck would you put
sometimes you have to
someone's really mean.
Plan out smaller goals. And I know you guys will hate this, but sometimes you've got to stop focusing on the long goal because there's about 2 or 3 goals in front. You say, I want a new job, making this whatever. And you go look up and my resume's not right, or I don't have, the contacts I need. Well, you can focus on getting that new job. You should, but you can staring you right in the face is your resume not being like it should. So you need to do that, and that knocks out part of your resistance. Right. And then you go a little further. People don't want to hear that because I want to just get it all. And sometimes it doesn't work. You see 2 or 3 things you need to do. Go on and do them, and then start focusing again. Right.
So that's why. You can't just focus on it once and then walk away, because there's generally with next level goals, actually almost all the time with next level goals, there's an obstacle, there's resistance, there's a wall. And you can keep throwing over and over and over again, but you just don't have the force to knock down that wall. And it wouldn't feel good even if you could. It's like banging your head into a brick wall. Maybe eventually you'll break through it, but by that point you'll have a concussion and
or be dead.
Things won't look so good. So you have to remove the wall. You have to keep focusing on the goal and deal with what arises, and then the goal will happen, right? So that is why it requires continuous energy. It also is kind of like a river. You know how rivers are formed? Because a river, it doesn't have that path initially. It's going to go with, gravity downhill, obviously. But... the actual riverbed, the actual, carving of the path through the landscape takes, probably thousands of years. I mean, I don't really know, but probably. It takes a lot of time. And some rock is harder than other. So it'll go around, or it'll take longer to push its way through, or it'll just create a different path around that obstacle. That's why rivers will wind so much sometimes. So, that is, it doesn't just happen on the first day. It takes time, that water constantly eroding away at that rock and constantly working at it. And eventually you have a fast flowing river. So that's how your goals are, and that's why you need to constantly put energy into it. You can see it as forming a new river. Once that river's formed, it's good to go. But, this is like how we talked about in the first Creator Circle call, creating your own flow. Because there's not a river going where you want to go, so you have to create your own, let's say. And you have to keep flowing it, and you have to keep flowing it, and you have to keep flowing it. But eventually, it will get there.
And I think a lot of people think, like, the LOA, is like a machine or a computer or something. Like, you set the goal and the computer does the rest.
Right.
Or like it's on autopilot, and which it's not. You have to, you actually have to put in the work. It's not a machine.
Exactly.
It's not this mechanical process.
Right.
You're actually programming it. You're the programmer.
Yeah.
The programmer has to keep programming that computer until it gets.
And you have to remove the bugs. You have to remove the bugs. I mean, you can't just release the software and be like, oh, yeah, and then just ignore all the bug requests, and, bug reports. I mean, that's, in my job, we get bug reports all the time, or whatever, users who have trouble using the software. You can't just ignore that. You have to say, okay, this is not working as it should. It didn't hit the mark, so we have to fix it.
I remember one of your first releases, I don't think there are any bugs. I'm like...
Yeah.
Wait. Well, I knew. Oh, you knew there would be bugs.
Yeah. Oh, there are always bugs. So that's how it is. But yeah. So that is the first way you can invest in your goal. Now there are other ways of investing in your goals. You can invest. There are almost infinite ways, really. But money in your goals, physical action in your goals. All sorts of different things, that are out there in the world, real world.
And that's breaking down resistance.
Right.
And y'all should really, really be happy you have those, because you're actually actively breaking down your resistance. It may not at first feel like it. You're like, I got to do all of these details. Yeah, but the resistance is right in your face. This is the best kind of resistance you can have.
Exactly.
It's the kind that I can see and do something with.
Right. So, for example, I have my business, Co-Creation Coaching, and I can't just sit here and say, you know what? I want more business. I want more clients, blah, 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 whatever. I have to invest my time, my energy, my money into the working of the business. There are expenses, and by letting that flow, it says to the universe, look, I'm willing to give my resources. So I'm ready to receive, because everything's a match. There's always a balance, a give and take. So I'm willing to give my resources. I'm willing to give my money. I'm willing to give my time, that there's no guarantee of getting back. That's why I've never been really, in everyday life, I'm very frugal with money, generally speaking. With my business, yes, I will make sure that what I'm doing is like the services I use are the best ones possible, but I won't go cheap. If there's a service if there are two possible services and one's say $50 more than the other, but it has the features I need, I will go for the more expensive one. Mm-hmm. That's just what I do, because I believe in getting the best for my business. That is investing in my goal.
You can't be stingy with LOA.
No,
and they even say that with I even heard that with the magical baths. Now, don't be trying to get 5 out when you know there's only 3. Right. You if you are stingy with the universe, it will know, and it will be stingy with you. Right.
Another example, I just paid a lot of money, I won't give exact numbers, on a business coach, and this is actually why I came up with this topic to begin with, because I realized, even after, paying for the business coach, even before we met for the first time, things just started increasing. Mm-hmm. And, so I realized by me putting that financial investment down, I showed the universe I was serious. I really wanted things to happen, and so things started to happen, and I started to get more business because, in those, say, 2 months between when I got my job and when I got my business coach, those 2 months were very low activity for co-creation coaching. I didn't post much. I didn't really do much of anything. I did still get business, but when I looked at my, my traffic stats and all that stuff, it fell considerably in that time. And you'd think, well, I still have a good many posts up, people will still find it on Google and whatever. And so you'd think there'd still be traffic, but because I wasn't putting time into it and I wasn't, putting the energy into it, I wasn't updating it, the traffic fell. And now that I've been putting more time into it, I've been posting like every day pretty much, it's gone up about halfway to, between the 2 points, where it had fallen to and where it was before. I'm about halfway back to normal, right? So, and I haven't even really done that much to market it, but it just started rising again. Okay, so that is a really important point, that when you put your time in, when you put money in, when you put your resources in, when you put your resources on the line, the universe will listen. Your subconscious, that's really, I really should talk about this sometime. What's the universe and what's your subconscious? Because we kind of use them, not interchangeably, but some things, they really overlap, right? Your subconscious will sit up and notice. Because when you say, all right, I want more clients, I want my business to grow, or I want more money, or I want whatever, and then you just sit on the couch and don't take any action, don't put in any money, don't put in any time, it's not going to happen. You know, the universe or your subconscious won't notice because it's like, well, that's nice. So what? You know? But when you go out and say, all right, what's the first step I have to take? So let's say I want to start a business. So I register my domain name, I start my website, you know, I do all that kind of stuff. I post a blog post, and then, you know, when I spend the money on the things I need, on the hosting and on whatever else, the subconscious mind says, oh, hey, wait, we're doing something here. This is important because I'm putting resources on the line. And the more, and going back to the quote, where it should feel uncomfortable, you should have to work hard. The more that hurts, now don't take me wrong here, I'll explain what I mean in a second, but the more that hurts, the more your subconscious will notice. Here's what I mean. Okay, so Christine's going to make fun of me a lot after the podcast, but I'm going to do it. There's a story in the Gospels about, you know, that Jesus and his disciples are in the temple, and there's the woman, I think she's a widow, who comes by and puts like a penny into, you know,
2 pennies.
2 pennies into whatever the thing.
The collection plate.
Yeah. So that hurt to her, and you know, they're kind of making fun of her at first, and Jesus says, you know, that's all she had. And because of that, the blessing will be so much greater than, say, a rich person who's giving, objectively speaking, more money, but it hurts less.
Yeah, not to him or not to her.
Right. So someone might come by and give $500. That's, you know, in our money. But to them, that doesn't mean anything. It's just, you know, pocket change. 2 pennies to her
was her livelihood.
Was what she had. It was all she had. It hurt. So the more something hurts, the more your subconscious will notice. And the more the universe will notice. It's sort of both end.
I knew a woman that was like that. And she was very poor. Mm-hmm. But she was also very Italian. And the reason I say this, she would always give her money to the church and not leave any for herself. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that was the best approach.
Yeah, you have to do it wisely. That's not...
But she was just so generous that she didn't even think of herself.
Sure. And
that was kind of sad, but she was the most generous woman you'd meet.
You know, I mean, there are limits.
Yeah.
I mean, because you have these, like, these, especially Protestant churches who will almost force you to tithe 10%? Tithe 10%. And you hear of families who do that, and then they literally can't pay the electric bill or something. And, you know... Don't do. I mean, when I say it hurts, I don't mean it should hurt so much that you can't pay the bills. You know, but another story from my own life is, and I've told this story before too. Last year, 2015 was a hard year for us financially. Okay, because Christine had a job and then that place closed, and then we had to use all of our savings to get through, and then we got back on SSI, you know, more. But it was just a really hard month because money wasn't very consistent, right? So the house we live in belongs to Christine's mother, and she let us stay here rent-free for a long time. And eventually, and we won't go into the exact reasons why this happened, but eventually we started saying, you know what, it doesn't feel good to just stay here for free. You know, maybe we should pay like what she would have usually charged, say, you know, the normal amount she would have charged. I don't like to give specific amounts, but the normal amount she would have charged. So we started doing that, and when we started doing it, we didn't have it. I'm telling you, we didn't. I mean, that would have been, let's say, 45% of what we'd have in a month. I mean, you know, you have to have grocery, that did not include utilities, you know, that kind of stuff. We didn't have it, just plain and simple. But we started doing that, And it wasn't fear-based and it wasn't anything like that. It was just, we should do this, and we did it. Every month since then, we just had the amount because we had to. We didn't have a choice. It hurt, but we knew we had to do it, and we knew we had to get through, And I mean, we knew logically that if we couldn't do it, she'd understand. But I've said this before: if you let it be an option, it will be the default. If you let it be an option that I don't pay this thing, then you will never pay it.
Yep.
That's just how it works.
And then worse stuff will happen.
Yeah.
Now, you don't need to, folks, don't do that. Do that when you feel balanced and ready, when wild horses cannot stop you.
Well, I'm going to disagree because it hurt. Like I said, we weren't sure. There was a bit of fear.
Yeah, it's supposed to hurt.
And, so I'm not going to say we were like psyched about it, enthusiastic, like, we're going to start paying. But, what it is you have to feel secure enough.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be really, really frightened that it's, you're just not going to make it.
Yeah,
it should be just enough that it hurts, but not so much that it's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So
there's like this feeling that I would get. It's like, okay, we're doing this. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, oh, we're doing this. Now, I don't know how this is going to come out, but I'm going to make it come out in my favor one way or the other. Yep. That's the feeling you want. I do not know how to put that I don't know how to explain it any better than that. It's that kind of feeling. To do it.
Right. So when you choose that, when it hurts, that's when your subconscious and the universe notice and things happen and it will work out.
Yeah.
It's just like
this synergistic thing that happens. And
just like, the business coaching hurts a bit because it's a lot, but I knew I had to do it because it would really help co-creation coaching. And I did it, and, it's working fine. That's how it is. So when it hurts, that's what happens. Again, there has to be a balance. I'm not saying, to go through all sorts of different suffering to, try to get your goal. What I'm saying is when you put yourself on the line, when it hurts, when it's uncomfortable, that's when magic happens. Not when you're sitting there and feeling, good feelings and having good, nice thoughts and whatnot. When everything's on the line, that's a really big way of speeding things up. When everything's on the line, it has to happen. It will happen. Things aren't always really comfortable. That's that tension. And I always say the higher that tension, the better when it's not overwhelming. But when you say, I'm doing this, it hurts, but I'm doing it and it's going to work out. That is the best position to be in for law of attraction. The best. Absolutely the best. Not absolutely required, but the best. It will happen the fastest.
Or with the least amount of, I don't want to say pain, but with not as much pain.
Right. So putting yourself on the line, that's investing in your goals. And, so that's what it is. It's going to hurt sometimes. It's not always going to be comfortable. Right. So that's investing in your goals. Like I said, there are many ways of doing it, but you have to do it. I'm not saying it always has to hurt, but invest your time, invest your energy, invest your focus, invest your money if you can.
Well, and like when you say it hurts, when you give an effective massage, it will hurt.
Right.
Much to Brandon's dismay. No, or working out. If it doesn't hurt at least a little bit, then you're doing something wrong.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta definitely.
And when I give massages, I tell people, I don't have time for relaxing massages. They don't work. Go to someone else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't inflict pain on purpose or something, but
sure you don't.
No, but I don't like if it's too much, it's fine, but it's got to be uncomfortable at least.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's so important. You have to put yourself on the line. You have to sacrifice something. When I say sacrifice, I don't mean give up, permanently, but you have to put yourself on the line.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Even if just energetically.
Right.
Even if just energetically. Do something, but see what you can do for your goal and invest in it. If it's that important to you, you'll invest in it. And that will make it come much more quickly. Because your subconscious won't believe you unless you're really putting something into it that matters.
For me, I feel like I'm putting a part of my soul or
Exactly.
spiritual self there. Like,
right.
That's why I generate enough force so I can feel it.
Right. Exactly. You have to feel it. So I hope that this clarifies things. I think it's a very important topic, like I said, because it is something that a lot of people don't really realize about the law of attraction, that you do have to invest in it. You do have to focus on it. You have to pour energy into it for it to work. So, like I said, it's a spectrum. I mean, putting your energy in it can be enough, but the more you put into it, the faster it'll happen generally. So, that is it for today. If you would like to see the show notes or leave a comment, you can go to cocreationcoaching.org/create022. And if you would like to subscribe to us on iTunes or rate or review our podcast, you can go to cocreationcoaching.org/create-iTunes. And that will redirect you to our iTunes page. So I thank you for listening in, everyone. We will return next week with another podcast. No idea on the topic yet, but it will be something good, I'm sure. So again, thanks for listening, everyone. I am Brandon Oliveris.
And I'm Christine Oliveris.
I'm Justin Williams.
Anything is possible.